it's Miss Sandy with Calvert Library, and welcome to another edition of It's Elementary. So if you've watched some of our It's Elementary videos, you may have noticed that a lot of the books that we like to present are nonfiction books. Nonfiction just means that it's a true story. These are books that you can get facts from. But a lot of times when we're using some of these nonfiction books, especially history books, they're things that happened a long time ago. People who lived long ago, events that happened ages ago. But today, I want to show you a book that happened just not that long ago, within my lifetime, as a matter of fact, believe it or not. And this book is called All That Trash. The subtitle is The Story of the 1987 Garbage Barge and Our Problem with Stuff. Very intriguing title, isn't it? This book is by Meghan McCarthy, and we want to thank the publisher, Simon Schuster, for allowing us to share it with you today. So let's see what this garbage barge is all about. Let's take a closer look. The year was 1987, known for a speedy white car, boxy-looking computers, big hair, and a news story about tons of trash that wouldn't go away. The grand adventure began with an idea by Lowell Harrelson. He got word that a New York landfill was almost out of room. Harrelson had a solution. He would take New York's trash far, far away and solve all its garbage problems. Harrelson agreed to take 3,186 tons of trash from New York's almost full landfill in Islip. The trash at this landfill came from New York City and Long Island. First, he rented a barge to carry the garbage. Second, he got a tugboat and crew to tow the barge. Third, he found a place to dump it. Harrelson's plan was revolutionary: to let the steaming, oozing heap of garbage decompose, thus creating methane gas and then energy. The methane gas is captured in underground wells. A vacuum pulls the gas through a pipe system. The collected gas is burned, which powers a generator, where mechanical energy turns into electrical energy. Then the electricity travels to a transformer, where it is changed from high voltage electricity to lower voltage electricity. At last, the electricity goes to power lines and then to your home. As soon as the barge docked in North Carolina, the trouble began. A local reporter looking for a good story flew over the barge. On the 6 o'clock news that evening, the barge's presence was announced. Thanks to the report, an environmental official went snooping. That's when he observed medical waste on the barge. Horrified, North Carolina officials obtained a court order declaring that the garbage could not be dumped in their state. Off went the break of dawn, apparently on its way to Alabama. Harrelson received a warning by phone indicating that Alabama didn't have room for his trash. Workers at the state docks were told to keep a lookout. It was clear that the garbage was not welcome in Alabama. Next, the barge moved on toward Mississippi. The garbage, however, was not welcome there either, so it floated over to Louisiana. Louisiana thought it was so important that Harrelson not leave his garbage in their state that they hand-delivered him a letter. The letter stated that Harrelson could not unload his garbage in the state of Louisiana. Obviously, the garbage was not welcome there. A local port authority sent a boat out to guard the barge and tugboat. I think what they, Port Authority officials, were worried about at first was that maybe the boat towing the barge might take off and leave the barge here, said a spokesperson. By now, the barge was infested with flies. Black ooze dripped from its bales. The garbage barge was to remain at the mouth of the Mississippi until a solution could be found. When night fell, the patrol boat took a break from guard duty. That's when the break of dawn and the garbage barge disappeared. What we're trying to find out now is if anybody knows just where it went to, said a Louisiana state official. Reporters tried to get Harrelson on the phone. His wife said that he was out of town. Where was the barge? Finally, the barge was spotted floating in circles in the Gulf of Mexico. The mayor of Grand Isle in Louisiana said, probably with some relief, "Wherever this stuff goes, it's going to be somebody else's problem." And it was. The barge moved farther south until it arrived in Mexican waters. Being both offended and disgusted, Mexico reminded the United States of an agreement between the two countries banning the movement of toxic waste. "They are turning us into their very own garbage dump," wrote a Mexican newspaper. For good measure, Mexico sent out its navy, 4 ships, 2 planes, and a helicopter. The garbage was not welcome in Mexico. Where would it go? Some people thought it might go back to New York, but instead, it stopped in Belize, which is a small country in Central America. A spokesman for the government said, "The idea of us buying that garbage is laughable." The country's defense force was swiftly sent to keep a lookout for the unwanted trash. Nobody wanted it. That is, until a business owner in possession of a tiny island in the Bahamas called Little San Salvador had an idea. Papers wrote that he wanted to use the garbage to build up the island and then plop his resort on top. The business owner said it was going to be a fantastically beautiful island that everyone will want to see. Or not. The Bahamian government did not like his idea one bit. It also sent out its defense force. The barge moved on. Where would it go next? Days later, the break of dawn was spotted towing the garbage to the Florida Keys. Residents of the Keys were alarmed. They feared that the garbage would pollute their sunny beaches and ruin their colorful coral reefs. Florida citizens wanted nothing to do with all that trash. Federal environmental agents investigated. They zipped up white protective suits and snapped on protective breathing masks. They picked through the contents looking for hazardous material. The break of dawn's first mate called the suits ridiculous. He added, "It's just ordinary garbage." Reporters observed the following items: magazines, clothing, old tires, cardboard, vacuum cleaner hose, carpet. It was determined that there was nothing toxic on the barge. Still, the garbage was not welcome in Florida. Governor of Florida. Florida has a sensitive and delicate environment and its own waste disposal problems. Captain of a charter boat in Florida. The quicker they get that sucker out of here, the better off we'll be. Key West Mayor. I think he needs to chug along. We're the jewel of Florida. I'm just going to wait to see what happens. Harrelson. When asked what St. Pierre wanted to do once on dry land, he said, "Take a good bath." By now, the barge had received a lot of attention. Television anchors had plenty to say. Bob Schieffer. It's becoming something of a national joke. Tom Brokaw. Floridians don't think it's so funny. Dan Rather. The most watched load of garbage in the memory of man. Peter Jennings. No one we know is particularly fond of taking out the garbage. How about the prospect of not being able to get rid of it at all? Jennifer McLogan. The barge has quickly become a symbol of the country's growing problem with trash. Finally, after almost 2 months, it appeared that there was a solution. The Islip town supervisor announced, "We're probably going to put some yellow ribbons outside the gates of the landfill to welcome our garbage back." And with that, the garbage began making its journey back to New York, back to where it came from. The plan was to dock the garbage in Queens, New York, then drive it by truck to Islip. But as the barge made its way to New York, it looked as though the plans were once again spoiled. New York Deputy Mayor. I don't want it squatting here. Queensboro President. We don't know what's in it. It's been sitting in the hot sun for weeks. It probably contains tropical insects and vermin. A court hearing was scheduled in Queens. It was then that a judge approved a temporary restraining order preventing those massive piles of trash from driving through Queens. While in limbo, the barge docked in Brooklyn. There, city health inspectors climbed aboard and took their own samples for testing. Duffy St. Pierre. It's crazy, isn't it? To go through all of this just to return it to the people we took it from? Harrelson. We're trying to keep a sense of humor about this to keep me from getting angry. Then more experts arrived. There was a toxicologist, environmental specialist, solid waste specialist, and vermin specialist. For several days, they picked through the trash. Finally, the health commissioner had an announcement. We did not find any conditions presenting a health hazard, and there were no distinctive odors. Even the rodent specialist said there were no rodents. Still, the barge had a court order not to unload its garbage. Police boats were assigned the unwanted duty of babysitting it. New York Harbor Police. It's a pain in the neck. Duffy St. Pierre. We'd like to go ashore. We're only human. As the barge bobbed in the water, waiting for a place to dump its decaying trash, word spread of its long journey. People wanted to see the trash. Tourists got a kick out of seeing it. A popular talk show host of the 1980s leaped at the opportunity to do something dramatic. He climbed aboard the barge and reported atop the trash, microphone in hand. He was then photographed jumping into the garbage below. Finally, a judge ordered that the barge's restraining order be lifted. Time is of the essence. Therefore, I urge the city, state, and all concerned to get on the ball. Unfortunately, the Islip town supervisor who had offered to take the garbage changed his mind. Now he offered to take only half of the 3,186 tons. Haul it to Gracie Mansion, he said sarcastically. Meanwhile, the Break of Dawn was told it could tow the barge to New Jersey, next to the George Washington Bridge. Only New Jersey didn't want it anywhere near its state either. A New Jersey senator sailed out to the barge. It stinks, he remarked. Meanwhile, Greenpeace activists left a message. Next time, try recycling. By now, the barge had been floating in the ocean for 5 months and traveled more than 6,000 miles. Finally, a judge ruled that the trash should be burned. Men in white suits and white masks used pitchforks to pick through the piles. Then it was burned in big ovens. Good riddance, remarked the sanitation commissioner. And that is what happened to the then 3,186 tons of trash that was now 400 tons of ash. The end. And a very interesting story, isn't it? Just like all good nonfiction books, this one has some really good information at the end, all about the story that we learned about, just so that you can see that the author has done their research. But it also has some good ideas at the end here, and it shows you some things that people have made out of trash, out of things that people are throwing away. So I'm sure that you've learned all about the 3 R's, right? What are those 3 R's again when we're talking about stuff, right? We want to reduce, reuse, and recycle, right? All right, so let's think about those one at a time. Recycle, that's what we do when we can't do anything else, right? You're done with something, but we want to put it back into a recycling bin so it can be made into something else. But before we get to that step, there are 2 more. So the first thing we want to do is try to reduce, right? We want to try to use less stuff. And we saw that we all have too much stuff and we throw away too much stuff. So we want to try to reduce the amount of things that we use. But we can also reuse those things. And that's where projects come. You can find all kinds of cool projects to do with things that you otherwise would have thrown away. And some of them are as big as buildings. Buildings can be reused. Instead of knocking the whole building down and building a new one, sometimes people are taking those buildings and reusing them, rebuilding the inside so that you can use them for something else. Also, you can take just the things that you find around your house and make all kinds of cool projects with them. So we're going to make a little project today with something that, unfortunately, we all have way too many of, and that is shopping bags. Little plastic bags that you get like from the grocery store or something like that. Now, remember, we can reduce first. We want to try to use our reusable bags, right? If we can do that, we want to try to use a reusable bag so that we don't have those plastic bags, but somehow we still seem to end up with some of them. So I have a fun project that we're going to do with some plastic bags. So all you need to do is find 6 plastic bags, preferably white ones, and then you're going to need some rubber bands. And other than that, you're just going to need some stuff to decorate. We're going to make a really fun project. So go grab your plastic bags and your rubber bands, and we'll meet back at the table and make a fun project together. All right, welcome back. Did you get all your supplies? You got your plastic bags, and you got your rubber bands, right? So here's what we're going to make. Look at this adorable little bunny. It's a bunny made all out of plastic bags and rubber bands. So let me show you how we're going to do it. All right, so you want to start with your best plastic bag. So one that doesn't have any holes in it, one that looks pretty nice. That's going to be your main bunny bag. So we're going to leave that on the table right in front of me. All right, now we're going to take 2 of the bags, kind of lay them flat a little bit, and then roll them all the way down to the bottom like this. And then fold them in half, like that. So we're going to do that with 2 different bags. Do that with 1 and do that with 2. These are going to be your bunny's feet. Roll them all the way down, fold them in half. Okay, so set one aside. Take one of them and put it in the bottom corner of your bag, like this. And then you're going to put the bag around that little part that you put at the bottom, that folded up bag there. And then you're going to take one of your rubber bands and you're going to tie off a little foot like this. And wrap it around, kind of like you wrap a ponytail holder in your hair. If you don't know, you can ask a grown-up to help you out with that. All right. All right, 1 foot. Now we're going to do the same thing with the other side. We're going to take the other one that we rolled up, put it down in the other side, in the bottom corner. We're going to do it about the same size. Take our rubber band and tie that one off too. All right, so 2 feet, good start. Now you're going to take another bag and you're going to kind of roll it up in on itself. So you want to kind of tuck those handles in there and roll it up into a ball. And then take another bag and put it around that one and do the same thing. So you're making a nice big ball here. This is going to be your bunny's tummy. So you want to kind of tuck all that in a nice big round ball. That is going to go right here in the middle of your bunny bag. Okay? So now we have a tummy and we have some feet. I can see something coming together. This is good stuff here. All right, so now we're going to take this part and tie it off with another rubber band. Right here in the middle. You want to try to kind of make all this even as you're going. You can always adjust it later. So a nice rubber band here, around. So I'm twisting and putting it around each time. All right, so there's our little body. So I'm going to kind of fluff him up a little bit. Then he needs a head, right? So let's pull this out a little bit here at the top. So we've got lots of space up here. And we're going to take our last bag and make it into a ball as well, smaller than the other ones because this is going to be the bunny's head, so you want it to be smaller than the bunny's body, right? Looks like I need to pull this side up just a little bit here. All right, so we're going to put that in the top and then pull all of that up. Tie it, so the handle should be sticking out on top, right? Tie those off. Just make those into a knot. Like that. And there you go. You've got an adorable plastic bag bunny. Now, you can decorate this bunny any way you want. I took a little Sharpie and gave him a little face. I gave him a little scarf just in case he gets cold. I don't want him to get cold outside. But you can decorate your bunny any way you want. Maybe you have some different color bags that you want to use. I used a little blue bag to make his scarf. But you can do anything you want. This project can be just as creative as you like. So, hope you enjoyed making our little plastic bag bunny, and that you remember always to reduce, reuse, and recycle. Thanks for joining us today. Stay tuned to Calvert Library's social media feeds for lots more programs for the whole family. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.